Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light with charlierivermanbergeron. It's Friday once again, and here I'm on Humanity Healing with Presence of Light Talks, a gift that I highly respect of being present with each of you each week and continually making me more aware of who and what I am and what I have to offer the world. It's a joy. I see people arriving. Wherever you're around the world, I send you my love and my light. Today in York, Maine here, it's overcast. We've had a week of beginning with snow. I think we received 14 inches of snow, which is interesting for the human physical body to deal with, especially at the age of 70. However, this is a reminder of this beautiful planet that we live on and the challenges that it offers us in order to rise up and above who and what we think we truly are. So today's show. Oh, good morning, Bernadette. People are showing up on the sideline here. Good morning, Joni, Marilyn, Linda. Thank you for signing in here. And for those of you I don't see on the sidelines, welcome, welcome, welcome. The number up there is, growing. So thank you. Thank you for your presence. Today's talk, the name of the talk is a little interesting. It's called New Beginnings and Earthworms. And I have to read it. I'll get my show notes up here, but it's like, how did you ever get that message, Charlie, of new beginnings and earthworms? And I think it's sometimes when I wake in the morning, especially of the day of my talks, it never ceases to amaze the messages that start to come through as I come out of the dream time, which can be quite bizarre in and of itself. I should tell you some of the dreams, but that's I'll leave that for another day. So I just had no idea what I was going to write about, and the only thing that kept coming through my mind was the number 636, 636, and it wasn't the time of the day. I mean, it was close. I think it was 650 something, but the number 636 kept just flashing, and to go look it up. So I did look it up, and I read my angel blessing for the day, and it really resonated with who I am and what I'm going through. And the first thoughts on arising before the number 636 was sort of a fearfulness. A questioning. I've been asked to be involved in some new aspects of what I do, and be more public and to share what I do privately and sacredly with others for the good of the whole. And I really was waking up with a lot of ambivalence about this, yet I know that all of us are beginning to step into a new field of showing up and sharing with others those wisdoms that we keep inside and are a little fearful of letting out to the world for fear of they'll call us crazy or weird. And it's okay. Let's be weird together. Let's be crazy together. It's far better than what we're seeing going on in the world right now, because the craziness that's there now really is not pleasant. So maybe we can shift it a little into a little more harmonious cheer and kindness and compassion, because it certainly isn't working the way it is. So with that intro, this number 636, we'll start with this number 636. So as I tapped into that and I started to look it up from different sources, I allowed it to process within myself. And this is what I invite everybody to do, is to take information and don't take it just as at face value, but always relate to it. See how it relates to you and adapt it or adopt it or morph it into what is comfortable in your daily pattern, or your what you think is your monthly pattern, or whatever you're applying yourself consciously to. And don't take it literally as what somebody said to you, but interpret it through your own energy field. Because these people who write these messages and meanings are amazing. They're tapping into themselves, and they're bringing through the messages for us to share with us, so that not to rise them up as the all-knowing, but to tap into us as the all-knowing, and to tap into that energy field where we, on our highest level, know the best of what it is we are here to do, and how we are to serve, and how we are to express. So the number 636, the first 6, what I got from the reading is it's about growing and nurturing. And so I had to think about, how am I growing and nurturing? And I realized that in other talks, I've talked about this process that I'm feeling like imaginary cells, and that I'm in a cocoon, and I'm creating a structure, a new structure, but it's the old structure reinforced and re-energized in a way that is going to serve me and humanity in a higher level as I step into that and come back out of the imaginary cellular structure into the physicality of what I'm creating. I think we're all going through this on some level, where we've come to this cocoon stage where many of us have drawn back from the world, created our sacred shelter around us, and are listening deeper to our own inner patterns and our own inner rhythms, and seeking that which is more in alignment with that true inner self, rather than the external self. The number 3 adds positivity and passion. Many times, many of us have lost positivity and passion. We are caught in a world that is amazingly shifting and changing at a rapid pace beyond which I think history has ever recorded. And it's doing it on a level that's internal as well as external simultaneously. So the number 3, the message of the number 3 is to add positivity and passion to what you are thinking about, or what you are thinking you might become or be or do, and to allow yourself to be positive. Allow yourself to have passion. We're not codependent on the external world anymore. What we're doing is we're realizing that we're stepping into the true self, the higher sovereign being self. And in doing that, we're recognizing ourselves as these amazing, amazing beings. And I want you to continue to add that positivity and passion to your life. Angelina says, "Oh my goodness, I'm happy to be hearing from your wisdom." Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, Angelina. It is about positivity and passion, and it is about positivity now. As I said, when I awoke, I wasn't feeling so positive. I was a little hesitant, fearful, not questioning what was real, what was not real, what my next step was going to be, and should I do it, should I not do it? We all experience this. This is our human nature. So the number 636, the last 6, brings in our positive humanitarian compassion. And where better should we express compassion than right here in this physical vehicle? Our humanitarian compassion, compassion for the human I am, for the human you are. When we think about compassion for others, and I've been doing this quite frequently, I have to look and say, am I expressing that kind of compassion for myself as well? Or am I in some kind of world that thinks, I don't need that, I'm above that, or I don't deserve it? And when I see and talk with a lot of people, this is what happens. They're talking to me in relationship to how do I act with others? And I always come back, how are you acting with yourself? How do you expect to be kind and considerate to others if you're not kind and considerate to yourself? How do you express that fully? You can't. You try and you do the best you can. But if we're not working on this physical vehicle, this human mind, simultaneously, then our expression outside becomes distorted and it becomes not as powerful. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. Doesn't mean it's not, you failed in any way or shape or manner, but it's not as effective. Look within yourself. Find those places where you need that positive humanitarian compassion. And give yourself a hug. Give yourself some love. Give yourself some light. Give yourself some space to grow. Space to grow into these new beginnings. And earthworms. Oh my goodness, earthworms. Where did earthworms come from? People look at me as if I'm crazy. New beginnings and earthworms. Okay. So, as I said, we're in this process of new beginnings, and we're in a dramatic shift in consciousness, not just as individuals, but as a whole collective of humanity. The whole human race is involved in this. There's nobody, even the worst person you can think of or the most negative person you can think of, is going through this. They're just going through it at a different rate, in a different way, and it's not our job to really say you have to do it my way, but give them the compassion that whatever they're going through, I'm thankful it's not me. Okay? So, again, this newness, this new beginnings idea is sometimes scary, and starting a new relationship or a job is never easy. This is where we find that those little fears or those little messages of doubt arise within us, and we need to continually reconfirm ourselves and have a deeper faith in our abilities. And this is what has led to the earthworm. The earthworm was a card that I pulled from this beautiful deck, Animal Spirit Guidebook. And this is the earthworm card. Okay, and it's an amazing figure. It's amazing artwork. And I love the people who create these cards and these message systems, because they, each one of them, have to tap into their higher guidance to bring forth these messages for us. So it's a deep inner process that they're sharing with us. And I respect that, and I respect each of you as you receive these messages, because the messages are not saying, oh, I'm the great one here, I have all the answers. Nor am I. I'm just like everyone else, moving through these fields of energies, and trying to do the best I can for myself, for my family, and for everybody that I encounter, whether it be on social media or be it in real life. And so what happens is questions continually arise from our ego mind that seem to undermine whatever forward motion we seem to make. And our forward motion starts to become somewhat of a crawl, a very slow process. And yet the mind, our ego mind, wants us to move fast. And we're telling the world is going fast. All this is happening quick, 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 quick. So we too should need to be quick, 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 quick. The messages that I'm receiving are completely the opposite. And maybe many of you are receiving those as well. And it's contradictory to our way of thinking or our patterns of life. So for me, the message has been to slow down, step back, pull out of things, pull back from things, re-look, take another look at what you're involved in, take another look at how you're expressing yourself, take another look at what's important around you immediately, and then around you in the fields of communication that you extend yourself into. So the slowing down reminds me of the earthworm. But the earthworm was really the card that inspired me most this morning. And it's about moving forward into our conscious evolution, which I'm sure sounds familiar to many of you. We're all doing this at some level. So the earthworm card from this deck reminds us to not lose hope, or become doubtful in our abilities. And the one line that I want to read from this is, the earthworm indicates a newbie or novice working to establish confidence in a new field. So when we think of that, the earthworm in a field, and it's in a new space, it's moving into a new space, a new field, and it may also have this sense of doubtfulness or fearfulness of its ability to survive in that new field. This is what's happening for many of us, is it's not fear on a level of what's happened to us in the past so much, but it's a fear of becoming new, for the new beginning of who we are. And many of us would rather choose to be the old. Well, at least I know the old. Yeah, it may not be great, but I know who it is and I know what it feels like. And so I said in the beginning, when we go through this process of imaginary cellularship, everything melts away. It just becomes liquid and transforms again and reconnects again and renews again into another form. So this is the path of the butterfly. And I believe the dragonfly might do this. It's a transformation. It's really a transmutation. And this is what we're going through. On some level, we are melting inside. And then we're going to come back into this newly empowered structure. When I first heard this, somebody gave that word to me, I said, look up the word imaginary cells. And there's some writings on it that are really profound and will help you maybe understand parts of what you're going through. Although we may not be doing it fully, it teaches us that this melting away and this becoming totally vulnerable, this vulnerability, is part of the process. that we're now moving through. So many of us don't work in nature anymore. We live in this technical world where we're on computers, we're doing that. We don't have a garden, or we don't have space to have a garden. And so we've lost connection with the earthworm. I know as a little child, I loved earthworms. I wasn't very kind to earthworms, but I did love earthworms and always loved, fascinated how they would wiggle away and do whatever they were doing. I had no clue what it was they were doing. But the importance of the earthworm is really critical to planet Earth and to us. The earthworm is known as an ecosystem engineer. I want to say that again. The earthworm is known as an ecosystem engineer. Now, we would not think of the earthworm as an ecosystem engineer. But they're called that as they modify the physical, chemical, and biological properties of the soil profile. They modify the physical, chemical, biological properties of the soil profile in which they live. These modifications affect the habit of all living organisms within their environment. This is what we are now doing. Each one of us now is becoming responsible to modify the physical, chemical, and biological properties of humanity. I'm going to stay silent for a second on that. This is the new beginning. This is the new beginning of who we are as human beings. This is why it's fearful. This is why we have to go through this melting down of who we've been in order to reintroduce ourselves into this amazing being. The earthworm is not to be neglected, nor are we. And what's happened is we've just forgotten that the original blueprint of planet Earth was created to function as a complete system based on balancing of elements and energies. Without humanity, it functions perfectly. With humanity, up to now, we can see and we know that we have created an imbalance. And I'm not blaming us, I'm not blaming anyone for this. It's just through errors in our ways, in our teachings, in our way of looking at things, it's happened. And the message of the earthworm is to remind us to look at the beginner's mind. The beginner mind. And the beginner mind is really that place within us. I'm looking at time, but is that place within us that has an attitude of openness, eagerness, and freedom. Freedom from preconceptions when approaching something new, or even approaching something old. Preconceptions. Let's let go of the preconceptions of what is or what should be. And let's come back to that beginner's mind, that childlike mind that saw the first earthworm and was amazed by its nature of wiggling, and you go to grab it and it scoop down into the ground. Who are these earthworms that teach us who we are when we really look and say, if they are the alchemists of the earth, so are we. And it's now our time to step into that on a more complete and whole level. Quote by Paramahamsa Nityananda. Always have trouble with those beautiful names. Beginner's mind is actually the space where the mind does not know what to do. It is that delicious state when you are aware, when you are sure of nothing, yet completely fearless, totally available to the moment. This is where we need to become. This is where we need to extend from. Totally available to the moment. Many times we have premonitions, we feel vulnerable, we go into denial of our power and our presence. We look back over our human history in this body. We find all the faults, we find all the weaknesses, and they become a roadblock to the new path, to the new beginning. I want you to see through all of that. I want you to come into that beginner mind, that innocence, that childlike innocence, no judgment, that state of non-judgment, just observation. This is where the pulling back and the observing becomes important. This is the message that I'm receiving and I share with others personally, is to take a breath, step back away from that breath, allow the breath to go out, and know that something's happening that we're not sure of. But what we can be sure of is if we look deep enough into our hearts, we will remember who we are. And it's in this remembering that the earthworm doesn't have to do. The earthworm is just the earthworm doing what it does. But we, as these beings with these amazing minds, have got to come back away from that mind to the beginner mind and look at the world around us as if we've never seen it before. And then ask ourselves, what do I do now? I'm trying to think of the book. I just pulled this book. It rings true from Ron Head, whose counsel speaks and he shares with. And it was just a random page I pulled to. And the questions were, why are you here? What are you here for? What should you be doing? These are the questions you always ask us. And he's talking about his guides. So speaking to him, do you ask because you are truly lost? No. You ask because deep in your heart, you know that you came here for a reason. This is the time we really heartfelt, deeply look and ask ourselves, what is the reason I am here? That great big, why am I here? And then start to weave that, as I talked in the beginning, weave that into who we are now. And allow the energies that planet Earth is receiving right now to lift us and empower us in 2020. As we gather like earthworms in the earth to enrich the soil, to transform all of the structures so that everything within that soil receives the full abundance of what it needs to be in its greatest form. We are transformers. And I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the real you has the power to create transformation, not only in yourself, but in everything around you. So the deeper message as I close for me and all of us today is to move forward in alignment. Alignment with our true divine inner purpose. Not in a frenzy, not at a snail's crawl, but slowly and methodically, like the earthworm, knowing that within our own hearts lie all the answers that these little minds need to learn. You are, I am, amazing beings. I thank you for being with me and listening to me. And I even have to listen to myself when I get done. Even though I write show notes, even though I prepared for 2 hours for this talk, it doesn't matter. Because it comes from my heart. So my mind has to catch up. In closing, may we all become earthworms with beginner minds. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity when we let everything slide out of the way. We are that one heart. We are that one mind. May you all have a wonderful week as you prepare during this busy season of celebrations of so many different kinds. Be at peace and know that you're loved. And we'll see you here again on next Friday if you so choose. Share if this brought a message to you. And if not, that's okay too. It's all perfect. I'm just another earthworm wiggling through the earth. Bless you all. I love you. Bye-bye.